What is up guys, it's Cal, and in this video we'll be taking a look at Mechagon, which is one of the new zones that's being introduced in patch 8.2. Now Mechagon is an ancient lost gnomish city that's located on an island off the coast of Kulturas. Now this zone is said to be slightly larger than Timeless Isle, which is nice. It also features an 8-boss mythic only dungeon called Operation Mechagon. We aren't going to be looking at that dungeon in this video because it's not out yet, but I'll of course show that off as soon as it becomes available on the PTR. Also, the dungeon is supposedly going to be split into 2 parts, just like the Return of Karazhan from Legion. The leading quests to this zone are different for both Horde and Alliance, so I'll of course be showing you both perspectives of it. So let's get started. For Alliance, you'll meet Tink Master Overspark by the Flight Master in Borealis. He's the chief architect of gnomish engineering, and he essentially tells you that there's a mysterious vault that has been discovered. Now this vault, which we'll see in a minute, you may have seen before because there's some world quests that are around that area, but it's finally open. He wants you to meet him in front of it. For the Horde, you'll meet Gazlo near the Flight Master of the Great Seal in Desert Allure. Now Gazlo is someone you may have seen before. He's the goblin leader of Ratchet. He's not too fond of the Alliance of course, but really has no real hate towards them. Nevertheless, he has retained a strong relationship with the Horde. He tells you that he's gotten word that the Alliance have discovered a mysterious vault that supposedly leads to Mechagon. He doesn't believe it, but wants to check it out anyways, since it could have endless treasure behind it, which he obviously cares about because goblin. The Alliance then approach the vault. It's in this mechanical area where there's a lot of mechanical wolves around and a mechanical cat. And now this gnome seems to keep talking, but there's no dialogue box popping over his head. Anyways, you click the vault to enter it. Once inside, the Tinkologists, as they are called, start going crazy with excitement, and you're asked to repair the area. You repair some gears as well as activating this electrode thing by connecting some wires and some other nonsense. Once that's completed, a hologram of King Mechagon appears. He essentially tells you that gnomes with flesh are inferior, and he wants to turn all gnomes into robots so they can pretty much be immortal. Then there's this cube which gives you the coordinates to Mechagon, followed by an awesome in-game event, which isn't actually in the PTR. Then you have to go back to Borealis so you can set course for Mechagon. Oh, and also many of the Tinkologists seem to be dead, so whatever happened in that cutscene, I'm guessing killed them. For the Horde, you'll arrive at the vault, but hide behind these makeshift trees with Gazlo and your crew. The Alliance are currently in the vault as you're staking out, and you're waiting for them to leave. Now once Tinkmaster leaves, you enter the vault and incapacitate the Alliance before they can fully break the mechanics. You still go through the same process of activating the gears and connecting the wires, and then King Mechagon spawns again and tells you the same thing as what the Alliance witnessed, about how people with flesh are bad, and people who are robots are good and immortal. You acquire the coordinates, and an awesome in-game event occurs. Gazlo is a bit surprised that Mechagon isn't just some fairy tale, but he's more than happy to swing by there to steal whatever valuable tech they have. Also, as I'm leaving the vault, there seems to be dead Grease Monkey crew as well, so whatever happened in that cutscene, kill them as well. You then leave the vault and take a gyrocopter back to Zuldazar. Back at Borealis, Gilla Crosswires, who is Tinkmaster's assistant, wants you to gather a small team to adventure into Mechagon. The first team member you recruit is this genius gnome named Safernita Filvers. I may have said that wrong, I apologize. Or Safi for short. You may be familiar with her if you are at all familiar with the novel Before the Storm. Or maybe you've done the Before the Storm questline that were introduced in 8.1.5. She was also formerly married to a goblin named Grizik Fizzwrench. Speaking of Grizik, well, she says that she won't go to Mechagon unless we invite him to. Good news for us, he's just upstairs. Now Grizzy is also part of the Before the Storm novel. He was also formerly part of the Bilgewater cartel, but after Kezan exploded, he, along with other goblins, moved to Azshara. He didn't like how the Horde operated, and also didn't like how Azshara was being exploded in many areas to create the Horde logo. That's partly why he's here in Borealis with Safi. Now we have one more to recruit, and that is Cog Captain Winklespring. He's the pilot that will provide us transportation to Mechagon. So we head right over here, not on this Kulturan boat. That's what I originally thought, but then again it would seem kind of odd for a bunch of gnomes to be operating a Kulturan boat. Can't even see over the wheel. Instead, we head over on this bridge where our team is assembled and we set course for Mechagon. Now if you're curious as to where it is on the map, top left corner. You can't see it on the world map, at least not yet anyways, but if you zoom into Kulturas, it's there. Now back into Zara lore, it's kind of the same deal. You meet up with Shuga Blastcaps, the engineer trainer, and you order all the explosives that she's got. These will be used in some way, I guess, for the expedition in Mechagon. It's usually best to not question goblin methods. You then go and recruit Ricket to your expedition. Now she's been in the game since Wrath of the Lich King, I believe. She was a quest giver in Storm Peaks as well as Deepholm and Mount Hyjal. Then you meet up with the Grease Monkey Union rep. She of course gives you the Grease Monkey crew to accompany you into Mechagon. She does have a lot of dialogue options, but I don't think there's really any incorrect options you tell her. You just pick whatever. So I tell her that Gazlo has promised both overtime and hazard pay for his crew, as well as a Robopup mascot for the crew that she is welcome to name. Then you both do a good old-fashioned saliva handshake and then return to your team to set course to Mechagon in a ship of some kind. Now back to the Alliance. When you approach the island, you get shot out of the air. That's pretty expected. It's happened plenty of times throughout the course of WoW, and you end up near Rustbolt, which is the main hub for both factions in Mechagon. Tinkmaster wants you to investigate Rustbolt, so once you arrive, you're met by a Mechanome named Prince Erasmus. Tinkmaster Overspark mistakes him for King Mechagon, but it turns out he isn't King Mechagon. He's actually King Mechagon's son, and he doesn't seem too fond of his father since he says his father must be stopped. And this is where both the Horde and Alliance paths converge, because then the Horde arrives. Gazlo then says that the Horde would like to help the cause, and Tinkmaster calls his bluff essentially, and then both factions join the Rustbolt resistance under Prince Erasmus. So we'll be doing some of these startup quests here in Mechagon. You end up riding this spider robot to the Junk Watts depot to get started. You come across this drill rig that requires 100 spare parts and 1 energy core to operate again. These are some of the basic currencies that Mechagon revolves around, and it seems all robotic creatures on the island drop spare parts, and the energy core comes from quests and some world quests on the island. Once you finish your quests, you then go to the drill rig to fix it and make it operational again. And it unveils Pascal K1N6, or maybe that's Pascal King. I don't know. This robot is the one who will take your currency items to create contraptions with. We'll take a look at some of those in a minute. You eventually head back to Rustbolt and do a tour of the city. So let's take a look at some of the stuff that this Pascal robot has to offer. You can create an experimental adventurer's augmentation, which says it creates a power ring or trinket or something for your specialization with an item level of 395. Now you don't have the recipe for that yet. It says that the source of the recipe is from a powerful enemy on Mechagon. So once you get that recipe, you can create this item. And then you can create some scrap grenades with 50 spare parts. This is the only thing from this robot that you can create off the bat. They do damage to enemies in an area, but also stun mechanical enemies for 6 seconds. So that does seem useful while doing world quests. Then a Beatsbot power pack used for something. It says it's used for an unusual bot. The source of this is from Bondo Big Block, possibly used for a quest or even for a bigger recipe since it's labeled as a component. Then the most important one of course is the Mechanocat laser pointer, which teaches you the Mechanocat mount. You can actually make this mount many different colors, and the source of the recipe is from a Mechanocat enthusiast, which I do believe I end up finding here soon. One of the items to create it is 4 chains of ignite coils. Now as of right now there's an NPC which I'll come to in a minute where you can buy one of those for 35k each. They also seem like possibly a rarish drop from rares around Mechagon. Also, I've heard that the rares on Mechagon will work how rares worked prior to, I think it may have been Warlords, where their spawn timer will actually be hours long and they'll be a rare every time you see them, versus now where rares are like 1 minute spawn timer but are only rare once a week. Anyways, here's the NPC that gives you your 385 trinket that you can put various punch cards in. I have to do a more in-depth video on this trinket, but essentially it's item level 385 and there are various affixes that you can put into that increase your stats. You can do more damage to enemies and also increase your underwater breathing. There's many different things. I do hope there's a way to increase its item level though. Now that's most of what I wanted to show you all. I did come across this chest on the island which had some spare parts of course, a paint vial quest which allows the Mechanocat model to be painted red, and then also an empty energy cell. It's green quality, so I assume it can be filled up to be a full energy cell. I also ran into these mechanocycle objects which can be mounts. I'm not too sure how to turn one into a mount, but they were shown off as mounts. And then this rare Robo Gorilla with over 4 million health that I decided to solo since there wasn't anyone around. I assume this guy is tameable for hunters. I mean, heck, I'm sure there's tons of mechanical beasts on this island that hunters can tame. After a while, I did get this rare down and he dropped one of those chain igniter coils, whatever they are. It seems like the most efficient way of getting those is from killing rares rather than buying them, although they'll probably be pretty difficult to get a tag on when the patch comes out. There's They're definitely faction tagged though because of how much health they have. But anyways, I got a blueprint for the experimental adventure augment whatever that I mentioned before. Now right over here is Cork Stuttgart, who must be the Mechanocat enthusiast since he sells those chain igniter coils, along with the blueprint to create a Mechano Tiger mount. Only 500 gold, and also a book called Mechanocat and Rider. That's probably used to color your Mechanocats different colors. And you probably do that by moving through these different color bots. All the colors you can make the Mechanocat are bronze, green, gold, copper trim, laminate steel, which I assume is yellow, red, and orange. Then unlocking all these colors gets you battle torn blue. You can also move through these color bots to change the color of your character and your mount for 3 minutes. So that's it. That's the intro to Mechagon anyways. I didn't finish all the quests, but I'm sure there's a lot more content with it. Hopefully, at least. I mean, I can only imagine Najatar having much more content than Mechagon anyways. So there you have it, a mini exploration through Mechagon. If you guys enjoyed this video, then feel free to leave a like on it. You can sub to the channel for more videos like this, and I will see you guys in the next video.